I fucking lose everything. And my, I lost my personal house. I lost all my cars. I got a phone call that one day that my whole other story I don't want to get into, but my wife left and all I got was a phone call from my assistant that my house was cleaned out. Never talked to her or saw her again. Till this day, I've never seen or talked to my ex-wife again. It was just like
gone,
poof, gone, like death almost, like
Jeez.
Doesn't exist.
Wow.
And had to move back in my parents' basement. They lent me one of their old used beat to shit cars.
Yeah.
I was on my parents' cell phone bills. I was borrowing money from my 16-year-old sister for lunch money at Chick-fil-A. I had jack shit, dude. When I said I have anything, it was so bad that both my parents had to file bankruptcy because I was using their credit on all these houses and shit that I was buying, right?
Oh,
and so
wow.
both my mom and dad allowed me, to use their credit
Right.
and stuff. And so they ended up having all these, 30 houses on their credit that I was like, guys, this is it. There's nothing else I can do. Like coming back to your dad, who's like your hero, and saying, bro, I fucked, just like that. I see it on TikTok all now, the movie with Bradley Cooper. And they're like, we fucked up.
Yeah.
We fucked up.
Yeah.
And I had one of those moments, and then making my parents walking into a courtroom to file bankruptcy, and I went with them, and it's just like, God, it was there was my dad who never missed a payment in his life. It's kind of, him and my mom, it's just how they were kind of raised in that angle of like, it's the worst thing in the world to miss a payment, right? So I got to that point, lost everything, and no wife, no car, no house, no money. Our pets' heads are falling off. You know what I mean? Like,
how old were you once this is like fully developed at that point? Because you had that success around 23, 24.
Yeah. So
once it started happening and shit hit the fan, how old?
Well, it was 2008, so I don't know the exact age, but I was in my mid 25, 26, 27, I guess, somewhere around in that age.
Yeah.
You can do the math on it, but I probably blacked out most of the time frames. But somewhere around that age, of like higher 20s is where I was, and had to move back in, and I was the first person in my family to go through a divorce. We grew up a very Christian family, and like divorce was like never an option. And of course, we grew up with no quit. That was never a fucking option, but I had no say in it. Like it was it. It was gone. So, you talk about failure. Okay, that's probably one of the biggest failures that in moments in my life where I sat with absolutely jack shit, and I mean nothing, dude. And I was probably sulking for, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 months, and I was just at my dad's house and was becoming a borderline loser, right? Like the typical, I live in my mom's basement, and it was my mom and dad's basement, and I was on the couch one day just sulking, like licking my wounds. Yeah. And my dad walked in the room off coming after a 12-hour work shift, because that's what he fucking does every day, and doesn't know anything else. And he worked 12-hour shifts, and comes home one day in his work clothes, and I'm laying on the couch like a bum at 6 o'clock in the evening,
right?
And licking my wounds, and there was a like a belt on the floor. I don't know. It's in the living room. It's just some belt. I don't know, my mom's or sister's. I don't know whether there's a fucking belt though. And he walked in the living room where I was after coming home from work, and he looked at me, and I kind of sat up for a second, and he kicked the belt as hard as he fucking could. As hard as the very few times where I'm like, oh, as a kid, I was like, oh shit, this is really bad. Like, there's one thing where he was disciplining me or training me, and there's another one of like, okay, he's now going to this next level of like, shit's about to go fucking down, and I have no control over what's about to happen next. Like, this is not going to be a win for me in this category. And he kicked it as hard as he can, and he looked at me and said, "You're going to lay there and be a fucking loser, or you can get up and go do something." And it was like, oh yeah, why am I laying here? And it's just that kick back in the nuts again of like, dude, failing sucks, and failing is and losing like that is the worst. But at that moment, you got two options, man. There's only two. Yeah. Fucking lay there and be a bitch, or get the fuck up and go do something. Right. And again, fortunately, I had a dad that kicked me in the nuts that day and said, get up and go do something. And then I went through about a year of, and I think it was a really good process where I went back and said, okay, what did I do wrong? Because I got to learn from it, right? So what did I do wrong? And I figured out some mistakes that I made, and I went and found a guy, and I went and called the guy up and said, hey, I'll be an intern for you for a year. And this is me making from millions to me making $10 an hour. And I said, I work for $10 an hour. I want to be like an intern for you. I'll do whatever you want, unlimited hours. I don't give a shit, but I want to learn from you. And I moved to Chicago and worked for this guy and lived in a piece of shit house and a piece of shit car and for $10 an hour and worked God knows how many hours. But I wanted to get around the thing that I felt like I was missing. But the other piece that was good in it is it gave me time to process what was going on, like process. So sometimes you especially when you're getting going, you'll fail and you don't actually take the time to process what happened so you can learn from it. And in a big failure like that early in life and a big failure, I needed some time to actually sincerely, emotionally, psychologically process that failure so I could get through it. If not, it becomes you're never actually able to learn from it.
Right.
You're just able to like, oh yeah, that happened. It motivates me. And I didn't need motivation.
Right.
I needed understanding of what did I go wrong. And there is a time that you have to process and deeper the failure, the more time you do need to process it so you can learn from it and move forward.
Yeah. Well, I mean, successful people stand on a mountain of failures.
That's all it is.
Right.
So that's why I said, when you ask me the question, I'm like, oh shit, let me pick which failure I want to show you. But I just wanted to show you the biggest failure that I've had. Like I have nothing to hide. That was my biggest failure. Like, fuck it. It was the worst.
Yeah.
But it only mounts up to a big mountain of success at the end of it, as long as you don't quit.
Right. It's almost like a gauntlet. I've always thought of it this way. In order to achieve a certain level of success, you almost have to become worthy of that. Right. You have to, and it's not about like the monies per se. It's about if you want to be a millionaire, you need to become a person worthy of making $1 million because money is value. Right.
Right.
Money is value. I say this, the world will always pay you what it thinks you're worth. So if you want to be a millionaire, be a man worth $1 million who can provide that kind of value to the workspace, to your business, to people in this world, right?
Okay.
And you cannot become that person unless you've gone through the gauntlet of fire to some degree. And honestly, you look at like billionaires, they're not billionaires, just because they woke up the next day billionaire, right? Or whatever.
Right,
I mean, maybe there's a few who got born in billionaires, but most millionaires and billionaires in this country or in the world were self-made. And they did it because they had the same attitude of, I'm not going to fucking quit no matter what happens, no matter what gets in my way. I'm not giving up. I don't care if I have to go back to rock bottom. I'm going to be back at $1 million mindset, right? Because the thing is you came back. Yeah, right?
Correct.
You bounced back. Look at you now. Like you've obviously had a lot of success in real estate. Again, you think a lot of people who has said, oh, real estate sucked for me. Now I might go try, cars, or now I might go try, I don't know, cattle. I don't know what it is, right?
Yeah, another thing.
But you went back into real estate, right? And that's the thing is that no quit mentality of no matter what happens, this is who I am. You will never out-earn who you are. You'll never out-earn your identity. And the second you become that person, now you've become worthy of that level of success. And just because you lose it doesn't mean you can't come back from that. Doesn't mean you can't rebound and do the exact same thing over. Just do it better the next time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
and that's what you've experienced, right?
Yeah.
I mean, now you host a podcast where you've had some of the biggest names all across this world come and, sit down with you and you've interviewed them. You've built an incredible business in real estate. What other businesses have you been a part of? I know you got a couple things going right now.
I got tons of things going. Again, it goes back to is I'm a born entrepreneur. So it's like, I cannot not have things going on. I left, headed over here. When I drove over here, I was literally like, I walked out and I was with Doug. I left a meeting. It was a 3-hour meeting with a group of guys I was there to kind of advise and give counsel to. And I think when I left, I'm like, oh shit, I think I just started another company. I was like, wait a second, fuck. But one of the ones that I love right now is I'm diving into the sports card world of sports
Huge
cards.
Market.
And a lot of times this is maybe a cool teaching point here. I think that there's certain keywords in life that are important, and for me, in a personal brand, okay, and not a business, but a personal brand, I think the 3 words I try to live by the most are inspire, impact, and influence. I think those 3 words, can help someone nurture and build their personal brand. And sports cards is really more one that came from a personal side of me. On a business side, I think the words are cause, connections, and collaborations. I think those are 3 words on the business side: cause, connections, and collaborations. On the personal brand side, I think it's more of what inspires doing, what is it you love? Like, what is it you freaking love, dude?
Right.
And impact is a unique one. Impact is, I think a lot of entrepreneurs that want to change the world, right? Like when you really get deep dive with entrepreneur, normally we'll always come back to, I want to fucking do something so big that it puts my fucking stamp on planet Earth. I don't even know what it is yet, but I have this like drive that I got to do something massive. And I would probably put that in the bucket of influence, because influence is one of the most powerful things that exist on planet Earth is influence. And when someone has influence, it is extremely powerful.